And we are back with the next round of Premier League predictions after the long-awaited return of European football. Not the highest amount of drama. We had a few late goals. Potentially, some would say a shock result with Salzburg getting the draw against Bayern. It wasn't much of a shock to me, if I'm honest. Salzburg have proven themselves time and time again over the last few years. In the Europa League, we had the massive upset of Rangers scoring 4 away at Dortmund. A great result for them that sets them up for a very intriguing game next week. And not really a lot else to say about Europe. As I said, it was good to see it back, but I kind of expected a little bit more, especially from those Champions League games. But we are here for the Premier League. If you don't know how this works, I'll run through my predictions from last week before moving on to the predictions for the current game week. It is, of course, a double game week this week. We have a total of 14 fixtures, so this will be the first video of 2 for this game week. I will be doing another one either on Monday or Tuesday, depending on timing. But let's get straight in to game week 25 results. So, these were my predictions, and if I'm honest, this was the week of what could have been, because these were the results. Starting with Man United Southampton, I wasn't really surprised with the 1-1 draw, if I'm honest, even as a Manchester United fan. Created lots of chances, as always, but also conceded far too many chances, and if we're being honest, Southampton were unlucky not to get the win. I obviously still went for the 2-1 United. I still expect us to win that sort of fixture, so that's why I went the way I did. So no points for me and 1 point for United there. We'll get to their second fixture later on. Brentford and Crystal Palace. I mean, talk about a nothing game. No real drama whatsoever. Just a plumb 0-0 draw, really. Disappointed from a Crystal Palace perspective. The way they've been playing this season, I would have expected them to get the result, which is obviously why I did a 2-1 win. But fair play for Brentford for keeping the clean sheet, and I know Raya made a few saves in the Brentford goal, so can't really complain about that. On to Everton and Leeds, and the first of what I'll say is a what could have been, because Leeds definitely had chances. They hit the woodwork at least twice. I think it was maybe 3 times. I know Rodrigo hit the woodwork twice. A great performance from Everton nonetheless. I did expect them to get the win. I did expect them to score 3 goals. Great again from a Manchester United perspective to see Van der Beek playing so well in his first full Premier League game, which is mad to say considering he was at United 18 months before getting that first full game for Everton. But a comfortable 3-0 win in the end, which results in 1 point for me. Watford and Brighton, I mean, we all knew this was going to happen. The moment I predict Brighton to draw is when they finally don't draw. I suppose on paper I probably should have gone for the Brighton win. I would expect, again on current form, Brighton to beat Watford even away from home. They have only lost 2 away games all season, Brighton, in the Premier League. The second, of course, being in the second fixture from this game week. So yeah, I mean, that's on me, but it was always going to happen. I always get the Brighton predictions wrong, so the one time I predict them to draw, they obviously don't. On to the first, another one of the what could have beens. I went for 3-0 Man City, it was 4-0. That's just the way it goes, not really a lot more to say about that. Again, same with Liverpool and Burnley, I predicted 2-0, it was 1-0. Burnley, however, did create some chances. I know Alisson was forced into a fair few saves and there were a couple of offsides that were tight, and Liverpool did have to work for it, but as expected, they got the job done. Pleased with my prediction for this one. A lot of people wouldn't have gone for a Newcastle win in this fixture, I imagine, so I'm pleased I actually got the correct result if it wasn't the correct score. Another Kieran Trippier free kick. Yes, it was deflected via Buendia's poor attempt of blocking it. But unfortunately for Newcastle, it seems that they've lost Trippier now for the rest of the season, so could be a major loss for them. But a great result nonetheless for Eddie Howe. 3 wins in a row for Newcastle and a point for me. Tottenham and Wolves, however, I thought I was being brave by giving Wolves the point, and wouldn't you know it, they went and got all 3. A really bad run of form for Spurs at the moment. It's not like they've got a tough game this weekend, though, but we'll get to that. Great performance from Wolves. Very, very bizarre goals, I have to say. But, yeah, thoroughly deserved the win. Tottenham didn't really create any chances, other than I think one Harry Kane chance that he hit straight at Jose Sarr, and Wolves were the deserved victors, and congratulations to them. My first correct score for what seems like ages came in the Leicester-West Ham game, albeit from a 93rd minute equaliser from Craig Dawson. Declan Rice described it as the game of two halves. It really was. West Ham dominating, should have been more than the one goal ahead that they were, and then obviously Leicester got that penalty right on half time, made it 1-1, were the complete dominant force in the second half. They should have then been more than one goal ahead when eventually Dawson equalised, but I'm not complaining. I take my 3 points, and as a United fan as well, obviously good to see West Ham and Leicester both dropping points. And finally, we had the extra game of last week, Manchester United and Brighton, where yet again we're left with what could have been, as Bruno Fernandes got our second in the 97th minute. Obviously thrilled that Manchester United were finally able to get a win, accompanied by a clean sheet. And I got a Brighton prediction correct, but, you know, Bruno, you didn't have to score that goal. You could have let me have my 3 points, but it is what it is. A very good week for me. A well-needed good week for me, as I got a game week score of 8. Could have been so much more. Could have been breaking the record. But it gives me an overall season score now of 144. Let's get straight in to game week 26, part 1. So these are all the weekend fixtures. Like I said earlier, I'll have a video for the 4... Sorry, this is the weekend. I did say weekend, didn't I? I'll have another video for the midweek fixtures coming out after these games have concluded. And we'll start with Saturday at lunchtime, West Ham and Newcastle. Like I said, Newcastle have just lost Kieran Trippier, who has been fantastic for them since he signed. I think that's going to play a big part in this. They are definitely a weaker team without him in it. They still played well. Obviously, Dan Burn got man of the match for that game, so Maximan still looks a constant threat. But even after their 3 wins in a row, it would be, in my opinion, stupid not to go for a West Ham win here. I am going to go for 2-1 though. I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy win for West Ham. I don't think it'll be that at all. But I expect West Ham to win. On to the first of 6 Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs, which is something we haven't seen in the Premier League at all this season. And we have Arsenal and Brentford. Obviously, Arsenal haven't played for a couple of weeks. They weren't involved in the FA Cup, and their game with Chelsea last week was postponed due to Chelsea becoming world champions. And Brentford obviously did put in that good display. I say good display against Crystal Palace. Good defensive display against Crystal Palace, but I again thoroughly expect Arsenal to win this one pretty comfortably. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Arsenal win. Obviously, everyone remembers the first game of the season where Brentford put on that fabulous display against Arsenal, and it was reminiscent of those old Arsenal-Stoke games. But I think Arsenal are a much improved side since then. Will they still be vulnerable to those tactics? Probably, which is why I've still given Brentford a goal. But again, I expect Arsenal to win this one pretty comfortably. And speaking of winning pretty comfortably, I'm going to give Aston Villa a 3-0 win against Watford. Since Roy Hodgson's taken over, he really has struggled to still get anything out of that Watford team. Aston Villa, obviously, as we know, are in a great run of form. Yes, they lost to Newcastle, but they still played reasonably well in that game. Can Watford contain Coutinho like Newcastle did? It remains to be seen. Right now, I just don't see anything other than an Aston Villa comfortable win here. So that is going to be my prediction for that. On to Brighton and Burnley. Now, I said it going into the Manchester United-Burnley game. You have a team here in Brighton that really, really struggle to score goals and are going to be without their captain for this game, against a Burnley team that have really rediscovered their defensive form. So, realistically, the only real result I'm going to go for here is a 0-0. Obviously, the moment someone scores, that prediction's out the window, but you have to be brave enough to go for these 0-0 draws sometimes, and that is what I'm going to go for here. On to Crystal Palace and Chelsea. Probably the toughest one to call this week, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but I think this is the toughest one to call this week. Obviously, Chelsea haven't played a Premier League game since January the 23rd. They're not going to be playing this game until February the 19th, so nearly an entire month since Chelsea have played a Premier League game. But since then, they've obviously progressed to the next round of the FA Cup and become World Club Champions, so congratulations to them. And I expect them to just about get the job done here as well. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I don't think it'll be easy. Obviously, as I said before, Crystal Palace are a great team under Patrick Vieira. Looks like he's playing even more of those young skillers coming through, like Eze and Elise, and then obviously still got Zaha. And I think they can cause Chelsea problems, I really do. But right now, Chelsea are on a little bit of a high. They're starting to rebuild their form again. So I'm just going to give this one to Chelsea. No difficulties, however, for the next game, which is Liverpool and Norwich. And I'm sorry, Norwich, I'm just going to be blunt and I'm going to say 5-0 Liverpool. I think they're just going to come out all guns blazing. And as good as Norwich have been recently, obviously they were just blown away by Man City at home. It's the worst possible combination of Premier League fixtures, playing against City than Liverpool. And I just think they're probably going to roll over here, and I see it being a very comfortable win for Liverpool. So, yeah, 5-0. And the final 3 o'clock game sees Southampton play Everton. Two teams that are playing very well at the moment. Obviously, Everton did have that blip in the game a couple of weeks ago, but since Frank Lampard's taken over, they have looked like a different team. However, Southampton are on an absolutely brilliant run themselves. Big results against big teams. And now at home to an Everton team that is still, obviously, like I say, trying to rediscover its form. I think it's too soon to give Everton the result here. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Southampton. Then we have the final game on Saturday, with the Saturday evening game, which is Man City and Tottenham. And it's just the wrong place and the wrong time for Tottenham this game. I mean, good luck to them. If they do manage to get a result, then fair play to them. But as a Manchester United fan, I've obviously given up on... I say given up on chasing it. It's not going to happen. We can't catch Man City at this point. So priorities have to take place. Man City need to beat Tottenham, and that's exactly what I expect them to do. And if I'm being honest, I can see this being a bit of a drumming, and I'm going to go for 4-0. It's, like I said, wrong place, wrong time for Spurs. This is the absolute worst possible fixture for them, the way they've been playing. But some would argue it's the best possible fixture because they can go into this game with really nothing to lose other than their own pride. So we'll see, but 4-0 City. On to Sunday, we see Leeds play Manchester United in, again, what I think is a very tough one to call. I wouldn't say this is tough to call as Crystal Palace and Chelsea, but it is a tough one to call. I am obviously going to give it to Manchester United. I'm letting my bias get away from me here, but we never really know what's going to happen with Leeds. We say this every week. They always play the same style of play. They hare around like lunatics. They create chances, but they concede chances. And given the amount of chances that we've been creating ourselves recently, I'd expect us to create even more against Leeds. We beat them 5-1 on the opening day of the season. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win here. And I don't think there can be any real disputes to that. Obviously, like I said, Leeds, if they turn up and take their chances, it could be a very different story. But I'm going to allow that bias to get away from me again. I expect Manchester United to win this game. So that's why I've gone for it. And finally, we have Wolves and Leicester. Again, I'm going to give this one to current form. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Wolves. I could see Wolves scoring more against Leicester. Leicester still have a really poor defensive record, particularly on set plays. And set plays are obviously one of Wolves' biggest strengths. And I don't really see Leicester creating enough chances to cause Wolves problems. They have the second best defensive record in the league right now. I can see them keeping the clean sheet against Leicester. And given Leicester's current defensive frailties, I can see Wolves getting at least one goal. So that will conclude today's predictions. Drop a like if you enjoy this series. Do not forget to comment down below with your predictions. And I will see you again, like I say, either Monday or Tuesday with part 2 of this week's predictions. Thank you very much for watching.